These podcasts are failing fast. Some are too extreme, some are too boring, and some just get tired of doing this shit. Either way, it wouldn't matter because most of us don't watch podcasts, which is a big problem because I want to start a podcast. So I've spent the last 10 days trying to figure out why these podcasts are failing. I've watched tons of interviews. I've been on forums, watched reaction channels. I've even read most of the comments in these comment sections. Hell, I've even DM'd a few creators, some who I know don't like me because I've talked shit about them.
I don't give a fuck.
But what if I told you the real reason for the downfall of modern podcasts is
The Matrix.
You ever look around you and just look at the world and feel like, kind of like we're in the Matrix, like there's something missing?
I'm fucking with y'all. Let's talk about this. In the initial stages of running a podcast, the goal is to attract exceptional guests who have the potential to significantly impact viewers' lives and provide valuable insight, ultimately driving up viewership and channel growth. However, the pool of such outstanding guests is limited, and eventually it becomes challenging to secure them for repeat appearances. As a result, a trend emerges where guests are selected not necessarily for their factual accuracy or objectivity, but for their ability to stir up controversy and incite engagement. Think about it. The guests your favorite podcast brings on, the Charleston Whites, the Candace Owens, the Andrew Tates, get them on your show and the viewership will grow. But this shift in strategy involves deliberately choosing guests who are known to spark heated debates and divide audiences, thereby generating substantial viewership and listeners' interest. Unfortunately, this focus on going viral by picking these guests has led to a decline in the quality of content and a shift towards prioritizing making money, forgetting the original goal of simply sharing useful stuff with us. And even when a podcast does find a good guest, honestly, once he or she has been on one show, they're not as hot anymore. So podcasts end up putting on these controversial folks just to keep things spicy, even if it means what they're saying isn't always on point. This is how podcasts like Earn Your Leisure end up with scammers on their show, which creates another problem because after you've spent all the time and money to get a guest on your show, if that guest is saying some bullshit, most podcasts won't delete it. Well, except for Steven.
On multiple occasions, I've invited a guest to this podcast, recorded a full episode with them, and then I've deleted the episode and never published the episode because I didn't think it was a valuable enough conversation to share with you guys as my audience. I genuinely feel a deep sense of responsibility to all of the people that listen to this podcast because I know that you show up every single Monday and often give me 2 hours of your time listening to someone you've probably never heard of before, and you're trusting me to find interesting people and have a valuable conversation and to give you that value on your Monday morning. So on several occasions, even on one occasion when the guest was a mega star with tens of millions of subscribers of their own, which obviously would have done wonders for this podcast, going back to the point I just made about leveraging people's audiences, I realized that the conversation was not valuable enough to share it with all of you. And that was because, for a number of reasons, because it lacked insights, because it lacked inspiration, it wasn't an intelligent conversation, it was boring, and it didn't meet my standard. So I deleted the episode, told the guest why, and we moved on.
Another problem is guests twisting facts to fit their own story. They only pick the pieces of information that support what they already think, and this messes with our trust and spreads like wildfire. Take me, for example. When I first got on YouTube, I remember hearing someone saying Black women are the most educated group, and without thinking, I've repeated that statement until it was debunked because the United States is 50% white. Black women make up about 7.7% of the United States. So, in the words of my black sisters, the math doesn't math. But someone said this, and still to this day, you can get on the internet and hear women say this statement. So it's making it tough to know who to trust online. And it got me thinking, shouldn't people care more about what's real instead of what gets them more clicks? Truth is, I don't know. The next issue is TikTok is stealing all of the attention and making the next generation's attention span way shorter. They need the quick clips, fast-paced content. So when it comes to sitting down for an hour-long podcast, ain't nobody got time for that. And podcasts are trying to adapt to that. You'll see small clips of podcasts on TikTok all the time. And most podcasts have a second clips channel to make those hour videos into 5 to 10 8-minute videos. They also upload 1-minute clips on their channels because they know they can't hold your attention for that long. They've also started adding effects, adding B-roll, multiple camera angles, different sound effects. That high-end editing is all used to hold your attention. And I do it as well. You hear creators say YouTube algorithm is shadow banning them. But it's not the algorithm, it's the audience. Listen, you're just not that good, including me. If I post a video and it gets no views, maybe it's because the topics suck, or I could have worked harder on that video. But the truth is, it just wasn't a good video. And I know that when I post it, but you show me by not watching that shit. So yeah, some of you have short attention spans, but these podcasters can't 100% blame the audience. And earlier, I mentioned to you how I've made some videos that aren't entertaining. Well, Share 7 ruined my life isn't one of them. In fact, if this video doesn't make you laugh, the comments surely will, because I'm getting dragged in them. So go help a brother out in the comments.